This is Dan Ferrisi, editor with Sound and Communications Magazine. Happy to be joined this afternoon by Ben Stowe, president of NLFX Professional. Thanks for joining me, Ben.
My pleasure, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So the topic of conversation here centers on the changes that we're seeing in the commercial AV industry, the changes we're seeing in AV integrators business in the context of COVID-19 and how our entire world has essentially been turned upside down. Before we start getting into what you are doing and what your thoughts are about the changing nature of the integration landscape, can you just tell us a little bit about NLFX Professional, exactly what you do and how your business is divided? I know you're about 60 to 70% commercial integrated systems, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely it. And one of the cool things that I enjoy is we do a lot of different things. The variety is nice and the diversity is nice. So about 60 to 70% of the business is, as you said, commercial integration, system design and install. A lot of design build stuff, but also some bid spec. Then we also have a direct fulfillment, where essentially people order something and it shows up on a UPS or FedEx truck. And then we have a small local showroom and do some rentals and things as well.
So one of the things that I've kind of had my eye on is this resurgence in the drive-in trend. I've been reading about drive-in worship services, so people don't have to be proximate to other people necessarily. Drive-in concerts, since a lot of concert and stadium venues are currently still closed. Have you seen anything in your area or in your business or among your clients and partners doing drive-in kind of activities? And apart from that, as a second question, what are your thoughts about the viability of that?
Well, yeah, I think we've seen a lot of that actually. And a real part of that kind of ties directly to the viability aspect of it too. When you can't do something, you pivot. And that's what people are doing. They're trying to make sure that people are not denied those worship experience opportunities, that they're not denied things like their high school graduation or college graduation. And so they're trying to find creative ways to address that. And I don't know if these things are necessarily long term. I don't know how long the viability will last once things go back to normal. But right now they're very hot. We're seeing a lot of people attempting that just as any means, to try to bring back things that are somewhat normal to us, concerts even, as you said. And I come from a long background of touring in front of house, and I just had a conversation with an arena that has never done an outdoor show. That's their business, is to bring people indoors to the arena, and the parking lot is for cars. And now they're talking about, well, what if people stayed in their car? What if we put a stage outside? And so we're struggling with things like, what is the sound experience for everybody behind a sheet of glass? How do we, work around those things, and what is the experience for a listener with an FM transmitter? Now you're really at the mercy of those individual car stereo systems, and how do you have a unified listener experience? And but at the other end of the spectrum is the reality that a concert indoors in the arena is untenable. It's not permissible, to put 10,000 people side by side in a space like we used to. So I think that, again, it's the necessity here is what drives it.
So in terms of your own activities as president of NLFX Pro, what are you doing to pivot, look at new opportunities that you might be able to capitalize on, new technologies you might want to invest in, being able to integrate or design around, different markets you might want to explore? Obviously, now is not a time for the status quo. Now is not a time for complacency, and that's something that obviously you're well aware of. So what are you doing not to be complacent?
Well, one of the first things I did is back in early March, as this thing was really beginning to take a hold in the U.S., I had on a video call with our staff, I said, okay, homework assignment for everybody. What did Budweiser do to survive prohibition? What do you do when your entire business is not permissible or safe to do? How do you adapt? And so, it's just to kind of put that mindset in that the status quo will not work. We cannot do the status quo. At the same time, though, we've done many of the things that we've always done. And that's more, in essence, the way we do things, not the what we do. And that is to put the customer first, to be excited about solutions, to kind of put everything on the table, and sometimes, more often than not, to take the hard road. Say, how do how do we address this need? We, you know, again, you can't do what you always did, so what can we do now? And we looked at a lot of different things. Some things stuck and some things didn't. We looked at, you know, like for example, with the surveillance systems and things that we install, we looked at thermal imaging cameras. Is this a solution? You know, how do we help these venues? How do we help these businesses? And even internally, there were some discussions about, you know, maybe the morality of what we do. You know, are we going to do certain things and not certain things? We're a company that really prides itself on integrity and morality. And so it's nice to hear the staff sticking up for that side of it too, to say, well, I don't think that's who we are. I don't feel good about that. You know, what can we do with our core competencies and how do we make that work? And so, you know, having those same conversations with the end users to say, you know, how can we help your worship experience, you know, transfer from what it has historically been in, you know, an auditorium or a sanctuary, and now get that out to where people can worship at home. And obviously it's a different experience, but how can we help churches walk that walk there? And the conversation we talked about with the arena and high school graduations and you name it. We're having daily conversations even with portable entertainers and people that are doing small, you know, bar gigs, as it were, to say, how can we do this safely? How can we protect you and protect the client and allow these things to continue? Because the thing that we know is that if we can do these smaller events safely, we can do bigger events safely. We can scale that up. That's a direct quote from the Event Safety Alliance. I stole that from them, but let's look for them.
So when you talk to whether they're worship clients or education clients or you know, music and entertainment related clients, in these conversations, are they coming to you with ideas about how they think the new normal should or can be? Or are they really kind of coming to you and saying, you know, what can we do, guys? We need to be able to deliver the experience we want. Help us do this. Are they coming to you with their ideas, or are you really having to kind of dream this up yourself?
Yes.
Both.
Yeah, I think it's very much both. And even if they are not bringing ideas, I think we're trying to engage them and help them be involved in the process. And at the same time, if they've come with an idea, we're still trying to, you know, present our things into it too. I know we were laughing about this a little while ago. I forget which famous boxer it is that said everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face or hit in the mouth. And I think that's kind of where the world's at right now. We've been punched squarely in the mouth. So I think everybody's trying to rewrite that plan on the fly. And I think the best plans, you know, it's twofold. One, I think you listen to your client, and two, I think you have an obligation to share with the client what you know. I mean, in essence, the easiest thing to do is to just sell somebody what they ask for. It's a lot harder, but usually more beneficial to sell them what they really need.
Well, I think people are having a difficult time, I think, in some cases, ascertaining what their needs are now, because they don't really know exactly how they're going to operate their entities at this point. So to be able to hone for them not only what application would suit their needs, but also what their need actually is and what a vision of their experience will be for the next 6 to 9 months. I think that's a real place that you and organizations like yours can add value.
Yeah, I agree. And the plan is evolving. I think that's one of the really frustrating things for people is that we don't know a lot yet about this virus, but we have to look at reality here. It's really only been in the mainstream. It's been a big topic of discussion worldwide for maybe 7 months, and in the US, less than that. So I think to know what we know about it at this point really is incredible. And technology's moving at a really fantastic pace in terms of what we know and how we're adapting to that. But it gets really frustrating to people when that information changes. You know, do we wear masks now? Don't we wear masks now? Oh, we're back to wearing masks again, you know? And so people are trying to adapt to that, and everybody's trying to adapt. So I think you have to be adaptable, and we have to just continue to kind of flow with that. And gosh, Dan, I'll tell you, if you could tell me what's going to happen in 6 months, I mean, I think you could be the wealthiest man in the universe. So a lot of it is just educated guessing.
I think that that's absolutely true. And that's really kind of the vision behind this video interview series, to get people's educated guesses. And then if to take everything in aggregate, kind of average it out, maybe we'll get some pearls of wisdom that we can really act upon as an industry. So I very much appreciate you adding your voice to this conversation, adding your perspective to the mix. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm really excited to hear the other voices too. I think this is a great thing to bring colleagues together in the industry, and like you said, if you take all the parts, somewhere in there, there's going to be some bits of wisdom, I hope, and I'm really honored that you'd have us.
This is Dan Ferrisi, editor with Sound and Communications Magazine. Happy to have been joined by Ben Stowe, president of NLFX Professional. Thanks again.